2 weeks ago, exactly, we lost a friend, father, husband, son, teacher, activist, and a great Levinasian scholar, Dr. Sol Neely. Sol was a force of nature. He was the epitome of action and kindness itself. Sol quipped that when he passed, he wanted his tombstone to be that he was a verb, pure action, and that he was. I want to thank the Hansel family and Sorel for commemorating Sol with your conference this weekend. It is apropos that the conference theme is the meaning of the human, because Sol was one of the best humans I ever knew, and a person who always championed the face of those who are often not seen. This reminds me of a Cherokee story that Sol used to tell about the people singing in the earth. And even though we couldn't see their faces, we had a responsibility to care for them. And Sol was that type of caring person. Sol was the co-founder and the first president of the North American Levinas Society. He found his interest in Levinas in Anchorage, Alaska, where he earned a BA in English and philosophy with Dan Klein, who's another Levinasian. I had the honor to meet Sol in graduate school at Purdue University, where we took classes together with our teachers, Sandra Goodhart, who's here, and Martin Matustik. Sol wrote an amazing dissertation, revolutionizing Maiutics, literary, philosophical, and political pedagogies in a time of disaster. And his interests were in pedagogy, literature, advocacy, and decolonizing indigenous studies. Sol was drawn to higher education because he was just a great teacher who was concerned with the human face of his students. This love is one of the things I think that of teaching is what drew him to Levinas. Part of Sol's Maiutics was dedicated to being an activist and an advocate teacher. Inspired, by the experiences of one of our teachers, he created the Flying University, which was a program that was in the Lemon Creek Correctional Center in Juneau, Alaska, where he did it inside out, bringing students into the prison to educate the prisoners. He volunteered his time here and really touched people. Students said that he literally saved their lives. Sol wanted to do this work because he saw the human in the prisoners when the state and society often failed to even see them as human. Sol did this pedagogical work because he wanted to reimagine the idea of justice into a format that was restorative. He walked his talk by showing a way to fundamentally reimagine what justice could be. I cannot do justice to the testimonials that his students from that program and from his university have offered upon hearing of Sol's passing. It is no doubt he was an amazing teacher, and for the North American Levinas Society, he always made sure that pedagogy sessions were center of all the work that we did. Sol was also a proud member of the Cherokee Nation. He and his daughter were studying their language, and translation and indigeneity were central themes of his scholarship. In 2020, he moved to Heritage University, a private university on the Yakima Indian Reservation in Washington State. In 2019, he walked the Trail of Tears from Georgia to Oklahoma with his father and his daughter. And it was a real honor to have visited the Cherokee Museum in North Carolina with Sol, before he gave one of our keynotes on Levinas displacement and repair. One of Sol's current projects that was doing a phenomenology of land acknowledgement. Finally, Sol was a great Levinasian. He was taught by one of our favorite teachers, Sandra Goodhart, who we absolutely cherished. And Sol wrote on themes like Levinas and Midrash and humor. And Sol was a bit of a trickster himself. So the humor was always wonderful. It was always something, that smile that you see there, he always brought in everything he did. He wrote in Levinasian language, translation, hermeneutics, film, and literature. Sol saw Levinas's phenomenology as being the linchpin to his activism and pedagogy. That was because, like Levinas, Sol was attuned to the face of the other. Upon news of his passing, a mutual friend of ours said that Sol was the best of us, and he was right. His loss is the deepest of wounds. One of the last things that Sol wrote was the following. He said, quote, Emmanuel Levinas's association of inspiration with the literalness of respiration has been from the first moment I read it, a guiding way for me to think about balance. We breathe into vitality and we breathe out into exhaustion. That's the honest cadence of our lives. And to the extent that Levinas's phenomenology was rooted in the oral traditions of Judaism, his insight resonates with indigenous phenomenologies in rich ways. Our lives are seasonal, and moments of exhaustion open back into inspiration. And I sometimes think the shape of gratitude is the shape of our lungs on the inhale, end quote. And breathe out and inhale, and just am happy to have shared the breath with Sol. And as George Hansel said, that he was the last ethical communist, and he was our friend, and he will be missed.